All right, Marcella. We are live. 1 second. Okay. You can unmute if you like. I'm going to try to connect to Facebook too and see what happens.
Okay.
Oh, wait. What is it doing? Okay. Wait. Okay, so it's not allowing it. You can only do one. All right. Well, that's cool. We here.
So you gonna do Facebook or you gonna do Zoom? I mean,
YouTube. We're on YouTube. Yeah, we're on YouTube. Right. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we're on YouTube because that's where we announced. So, all right, everybody. We got 1 minute.
Where is Clarence?
He has a meeting, but he will be here. He will. All right, we are ready to go. Good evening, everybody. This is Shypanther and Friends show on this Thursday, December 10, 2020. The time is now just about 7:30. And we are happy to be here and happy that you could join us. Please share the page, and before you leave, please hit subscribe. Now, if this is your first time with Shypanther and Friends, just to let you know that we host extraordinary people with inspiring stories to share. And our mission is to provide quality programming. And I hope that's what we've been doing. So I've been asking you guys to reach out at Shypanther and Friends Show #1 at Gmail. And let me know how you like the show. Let me know if any particular show inspired you to pursue your goals. Just anything. Just reach out and let us know what's happening. All righty. Now we have our panel here with Marcy, and we have MJ here, and we have Clarence who will be joining us in a little while. So before we introduce MJ, I'm going to throw out my social media one more time. Shypanther and Friends Show #1 at Gmail, and the website is shypanthermediagroup.org, all one word. Okay, come on in, MJ.
Hi, good evening, and I'm glad to be here. It's usual every Thursday. My name is Marcella. They call me MJ, and I am the owner and creator of TaylorBeesBeardOil.com and MJ Healthy Me, a health and wellness site, MJHealthyMe.com. And I am also a guess what they did? APCO. We're now dispatchers are now first responders, according to APCO. So I am a certified first responder. Now I'm not sure if they passed it in Congress yet, but they consider police and fire dispatchers first responders now, so which is good.
Yeah, you know. And it's long, long, long overdue. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I do to get a paycheck.
Right. So
everything else is extra as far as running a business.
Exactly.
So what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, we'll be talking about holiday things tonight. We had a change in plans, everybody. Our guest had some other things that interfered with her coming onto the show. So we're going to reschedule her, and we're just going to hang loose tonight and keep it light. We're not going to talk about all these crazy things that we do talk about from the news. We will not be doing that tonight. We'll be having some fun. So anyway, we want to talk about the holidays coming up. We only have a couple of weeks to go. And I mean, things are different. Well, we know things are so different because we can't get together, and we couldn't get together for Thanksgiving. We really can't get together for Christmas unless you already have a lot of family that's always around you. It's going to be a little difficult. So I wanted to talk about those holidays, those Christmases that you remember most, or what made them so special for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, even as a kid or even as an adult, what are some of the things that really stand out for you?
As an adult, Well, let me put it this way. I barely celebrate it now because it became so overwhelming with the commercialism of Christmas, and it just took away from everything that I was brought up on as far as Christmas was concerned. And that was just family and gathering every year and remembering the reason why we have that season, and because of Christ. But it just took, oh my God, I would go into debt trying to buy Christmas presents for everyone. And then you get to the point whereas you you stop doing that and you just think about the kids. Then you get to the point where you just say, forget it and become a little selfish and say, I'm gonna think about myself this year, you know. And I
Mhm.
always used to give, and it was be Christmases I didn't even get back, but I gave anyway because that's just my thing. That's just the way I was, and I like giving. And this year I was going to buy presents and for my sisters and stuff, but then I thought about that, with everything that's going on. I said I better keep my reserve.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I feel the same way. Because you never know from day to day what could happen. So you gotta kind of be careful this year's spending.
Right.
I think too, I felt the same way that it used to be so much more fun as a kid because it
Right.
was like who can get the biggest gift or the most expensive thing, and if you can't do that, then people are like, can you believe she gave me that? Or it's just nonsense. So
The
I think
ugly sweaters.
now that's fun. But I think too, just the simple things are what make the difference. I
Right.
really do that. Yeah. 'Cause I remember the Christmases when we were kids. My oldest brother is 6 years older than I am, and he would always get to stay up and get to see Santa. So we thought, you know, because he was so much older, he would say that Santa came in or he saw one of us half asleep, so he left, and just all kinds of cute little things. But even now, a lot of people they just say, "Oh, don't teach kids about Santa. That's not real." And even though we know it's not real, it's just fun to do at the time. It was
I
fun to do.
don't know because at a certain age they tell you it's not real. And you like, what? I was devastated. I was devastated. That
Yeah.
the jolly old white man wasn't coming to my house. I'm like, what? Are you all kidding me? I remember crying.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And
Girl,
what
please. Easter bunny,
about
not so much, but that Santa, mm-mm.
what about the toys? Because I had this huge black doll back then in the '60s,
Mhm.
and I don't think that was all that common. But she wasn't. You know how sometimes they have our dolls, the skin tone is not natural to nobody.
Right.
Um, but she was beautiful. She had beautiful brown skin. She was taller than I was. I don't know where they got her from, but I thought that was awesome, and I kept her until who knows how long. They probably threw her away to get her away from me, but that was really cool.
I
And
remember the easy bake ovens and stuff. That they were my favorite. Even now, if I could find one, they're very expensive. I think you can still find one, but they're not the same because you had to put a light bulb in it in order for it to cook the food. Remember? But that was just like the best thing ever. I
mhm.
like dolls too, but not like that. I always like the other different gadgets and things
Oh,
like that, and the cars, and oh, I like Hot Wheels too. Hot Wheels was one of my one of
yeah.
my favorite. And when I had kids, I made sure I bought a Hot Wheels set, especially for my son.
Mhm.
But yeah, I used to like that. And you know what? One of my biggest things, I wanted a train collection.
Right.
I
Me
used
too.
to love trains.
Mhm.
Oh my God, I was just fascinated by toy trains. I wanted the whole thing. Even as an adult, if I could still do that to this day, I'd have one set up in my basement just with the little towns and the stops, the what do you call it, the lights and the
Yeah.
handles that go up. I think I love those. I really, really love those. You know.
Oh, yeah, I agree about the trains. I wanted train, those model trains and the tracks. And actually, I think we had them because
Hmm.
I don't. It was so long ago. I don't know who bought it, but my brothers would set it up and they would run it. But at that time, a lot of the older trains were still being run, like the locomotive and
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
It was still being run. So I always had too a fascination with that and those race car tracks. What did they used to call them? I can't remember.
The
Um,
Hot Wheels. Was it?
oh, Hot
They
Wheels.
had Hot Wheel tracks. First they came. I think they just came out with like it was just the one loop. And if you get two cars or something with it, then they started making them bigger and faster. I thought that was so cool. So
Yeah,
I think
the-
kids, if they need to, well, some of that stuff is still around, and if they could just reinvent some of that stuff, but some
right.
of the dials, I don't agree with some of the dials that they have out now.
Oh, I
They
know they're too much.
they look a bit
Yeah,
too
I agree with
grown.
you. Yeah, too much, too grown. Exactly.
Yeah, they look
Um,
a little bit too
and
grown.
I think too a lot of the race car things that was that went in accordance with we used to watch car racing a lot back a
Mhm.
long time ago, and the
Oh
same
yeah,
thing with
the
boxing.
indie on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing with boxing. They used to have these what is it, Rock'em Sock'em robots,
Oh
and
yeah, Rock. I went out for a second. Yeah, Rock'em Sock'em Robot. That was really fun. I think my brother had one of those before.
yeah, and so we used to watch that. I mean, we used to, and then I was talking with my dad. He's 86, and he was telling me that Chicago was real big with boxing a while back in the day, and I remember that. I remember those local boxing matches.
Hmm.
I was a little kid, too little to do anything like that, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, I remember. Oh my gosh, we have but so everything is so different, so changed. But what about the foods? Did you all start cooking like a couple of days ahead or
Oh yeah, my mom would just start cooking like 2 days ahead. You know, that turkey and that ham would sit out. Not so much the ham, but the turkey would sit out for a while, for like
Mhm.
2 days. She let it unthaw, and I
so
wonder, was that healthy?
yeah, did everybody gather at your house or was it another aunt
It
or
depends. It depends. Most of the time, because it was five of us plus my mom and my aunt. So it depends. Sometimes we just stay at home. Sometimes we go over to other family houses, and I think as we started getting older and we start having our own houses, my parents, my mom, they lived with me, so we started having our own houses. We would decide who would come to whose house, or you know. Then
yeah,
sometimes you just pack it up and just show up at someone's house. Just
right,
and I mean they didn't mind. Them
right.
days they didn't mind. The more the merrier. The more company you would have. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
right about that. People didn't mind. I remember that so much that people would drop in and
Yeah, you'd always have enough food. You'd
right,
always
it
have
would
enough
be
food.
such a big old thing. People upset that folks would come by without calling. We looked forward to that back then.
Oh yeah, I did too because I had a lot of cousins. So
Did
I looked forward to that. And
hmm
we would call each other and see, girl, what did you get for Christmas? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. I
And
remember
ask what did you get. Yeah.
I remember like coming close to those teenage years, how a lot of the gift giving kind of changed, and that I was really salty about that because when you're a little kid, a lot of times you got a lot of stuff, and as you
Oh
got
yeah.
older, it was like, nah, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So, or the types
Because
of
when my kids got to maybe like 18, 19, 20, they got money. It was, and I may buy them a sweater or clothes or something like that. But you start slowing down because you're doing so much throughout the entire year. When the holidays come, you're like, oh,
I know.
now they're buying their kids these $1,000 Xboxes and
Oh my goodness.
$100 shoes, gym shoes, and
Mm.
no, you need to work for some of that.
Right.
I'm
And then
sorry,
the thing
I'm
you
not spending
said,
that kind of money.
right, the thing you just said, kids, these expensive shoes that they're gonna grow
Yeah.
pretty much right out of. So man. So then I remember too a lot of holiday movies that, you know, were kind of classics and then later I guess what when was now my favorites are Ice Cube's movies around that time. Fridays, next
Really?
Friday, Friday after next. Those were my holiday. That's
Oh,
what
my favorite is still A Christmas Story.
really
Look, girl, I'll look at that every year. You shoot your eye out, kid. I love that movie. I'm sorry, I'm hooked on that movie. I love that movie. I mean, sitting in the cafe, the break room at work when it's on.
right.
They
We
come
always
looking to me like, "Where is she at?" Oh, I mean, Christmas Carol. If I have to, it still be crowded in there. You know how they used to go. People love that movie. They love that movie. I love it. I do. That's like my
and,
favorite movie.
and we would sit there and laugh like we never saw it before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
And
I
my other
remember.
favorite is um, and it makes me cry. I go from laughing to crying. Uh, what is that one with the black lady? Her daughter doesn't come to see her. She has a white daughter. Um, got something to of life. What is the name of that movie? Huh?
Imitation of life.
Yeah, Imitation of Life. Yeah, that's my. I don't know. I had a brain seizure right now, but yeah, Imitation of Life. Those my two favorite movies. I make sure I watch that every year. Every year.
Well, I had to stop watching Imitation of Life because it is really a tearjerker. So I'm like, no, not
Oh
today.
yeah.
I have to be in a certain mood to watch it to hope that I don't cry half the day. But yeah,
That's why I said you had. I go from laughing and cry, laughing to cry. But I do. I love those two movies. It's the best movies in the world, man. For me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like to laugh, so I'm telling you, I watch Ice Cube's movies, and they are hilarious to me. And I still have like the four set case.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I fully and I fully intend to watch them too. I sure do.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Maybe I'll look at them this
Mhm.
year since I'm off on Christmas this year. That's a once in every what 5 years. Yeah. Not
That
Christmas. Now I'm not off Christmas Eve. I'm off Christmas
yeah.
on Christmas
And
Day. So
and that's
hopefully they won't make me come into work.
right. That's the way you want to be off.
Right.
Christmas Day. Yeah, because you can relax and enjoy the day and not
Right.
have to be trying to hurry up and go to bed so you can get up and go to work all night.
Mhm.
It's quite an experience for people who work midnights and folks who've never done it. You have no idea how difficult that is. That is not a small thing to do. It's very, very difficult. So
Yeah, it is. I like my other favorite. What did you do for Thanksgiving?
I went to spend time with my mom, and I really didn't do that much. And actually, years before, I used to cook all the time. And I think maybe like the last 5 or 6 years, I didn't cook. So this year, I decided to make a turkey. And I was kind of afraid to do it because when you don't cook regularly, you can't cook.
Right.
So I'm like, please don't let me mess up this turkey. And everything turned out really well. I didn't make a whole bunch of dishes because it was just me and my mom. So Yeah, we kept it kind of quiet. So I just made a whole bunch of stuff and well, dressing and the turkey. What else? Not much else. Well, I had to make pie. So because I don't eat a whole bunch of sweets. I might look like I do, but I don't eat a whole bunch of
No,
sweets. And,
you don't.
and them over to her. And that's pretty much it was so nice and quiet. I loved it. And because the thing about being retired is
Mhm.
I still think I don't feel it yet. It's gonna take maybe like a year
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm still busy doing things, but I'm just like enjoying all the things that I didn't get to do all those years working. And most of it, a lot of it was not being home for those holidays, and not being able to
Right.
prepare for them and always having to leave and or just couldn't go, period. So
Oh yeah, you know how it used to be for us for holidays. If people out there who work for the public, you should know that, especially when you're on a graveyard shift or a midnight shift, not seeing your family, and then because it is the holidays and they make it mandatory for you to come to work, that's a hard thing to do, to be away from your family and your kids and stuff. And as you get older, you really, really appreciate those moments. When you're young, you get through, you kind of breeze through it, but except for some people, know I want to be here with my children. So it's a hard pill to swallow when you have to service the public and you can't be there for your children. But I think with these holidays and stuff, we need to just maybe, not maybe, but we need to just be appreciative that some of us do even have family, because there's so many people out there who don't have family or have to celebrate with. And I think that came to mind because we do have some on the job that they don't have family, and they get a little, the job becomes their family. The job becomes their family. And you know how we do. We're gonna bring food. We're gonna bring so everybody can eat. Everybody brings a dish or bring some sweets and stuff. That's one thing about the job and how we work is when the holidays do come and you do have to work, the potluck and the camaraderie that you have, because they become your family because you spend so much time with them. So that's like your surrogate family, should I say, that you spend a lot of time with when you're at work.
right, and that actually that's pretty wonderful that the employees have come together like that to make those days special because working in that field in emergency services, you're the one who has to be at work most of the time.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what day it is or what time it is. We do not close.
Nope. 24/7.
Yeah. So is and the type of events that they throw as far as all the food, almost anything that you could think of, and then all the desserts, and it's nice. And then, as you said earlier, we put on our favorite movies, and whenever we get time to go back there and enjoy it, it takes you away from
Right.
the real world, all that emergency stuff happening. But just for a few minutes, you get to enjoy a little bit. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You do. And they decorate it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen the tree up. So hopefully they'll put it up. Do you do a tree every year?
Actually, not anymore. I just, I like little trinkets. I like to just put all types of little things around the house to make it look festive. And I do string lights and things like that. But I used to always love to go into the store and look at
Hmm.
all the ways that they decorate with just the little things all around everywhere. And that's what I
Right.
like. Yeah. Because I mean, first of all, I don't have anyone still, at home with me. And putting up the tree, it's all pretty and all that, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to put it up, and I don't want to take the time to take all those things that I put on there off. So I just leave it and just go on and enjoy what I, just what I can see all around everywhere. Well, at the end of the season, that's easy to just put back in a box or a container rather than taking a whole tree down. So I don't know. I think that may change pretty soon because I am looking to relocate. So I have such a small space right now. So when I move, definitely I'll be thinking about something like that. So
And you know what? And the reason why I bring that up is because there's the tree had there's several theories about the symbolism of a tree, you
uh-huh.
know, and the tree has several theories and legends as to how the evergreen fir tree went on to become a symbol of Christianity, and it became a symbol of Christ being triangular in shape, which represents, the
Uh-huh.
Trinity.
Uh-huh.
So, um, and I always think about stuff like that, and the when you ornamize the trees and stuff, and then they talk about how it's paganism, and that's how um, I mean, when you think about the history of things, and we talk about these holidays and stuff, and how its origins came about, and
Exactly.
I started to get kind of
No, go.
curious about just the history of all of this. How do we come into all of these different holidays and these symbolisms and things like that? And I think that we have to I think people should do their research and see why things exist the way that they do, and make a conscious choice as to if you want to kind of participate in that, or if you just curious about it, or because I don't knock it, but um that's what I was thinking about earlier when you say do when we talked about celebrating and not celebrating Christmas and things like that. And we talk about the symbolism and the paganism behind all of it and stuff. So I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I just thought that was interesting. The shape of the tree, looking at the Trinity and
Mhm.
how it came about,
Right.
and how a lot of people denounced it because of the fact that they felt that it was paganism that was
Mhm.
uh,
But
when
you know what?
talking
I
about.
agree. But the thing about paganism, like most everybody was a pagan. Um,
Oh yeah,
I'm so I mean, and I do understand what you mean. How people worship things.
yeah,
I get
right,
that. I understand exactly what you
yeah.
mean.
And
But
some
yeah,
people
that
and some people would say by standing around, the trees singing or just admiring its adornment with all the things that you adorn the tree with and stuff. You have
right.
some on the other hand that says that, well, you're just giving honor to Christ, and then you have stuff other people on the other side that you're praying to an object and you're not supposed to do
Mhm.
that. There will be no gods before me. And you know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know. I just found it yeah, I just found it interesting,
It is,
about
and I think
certain things.
everybody should. I think everybody should look at the origins of things like that because
Yeah.
from a little kid coming up, you know that we are just following along with what our parents, their customs and things like that. So I think
Absolutely.
definitely we should we should go back and do some research. There's tons of information everywhere all the time. We always talk about all the information that you can find on YouTube, and actually, a lot of that information about the tree is in the Bible. It's
Yeah.
actually right
Yeah.
in here. So, yeah, I think that's very important to talk about, and I don't think that's going into it too deep. You're definitely educating some folks, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Because it says here what the Bible says about the Christmas tree. It says, "To thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vain. For one One cutteth a tree out of the forest. The work of the hands of the workman was with the axe, cutting a tree from the cutting a tree from the forest. So
Mhm.
I kind of don't know what that means, but I'm
Um,
sure I can figure it
yeah. Well, just simply that they go and get the tree out of the forest and bring it back and stand around and worship it. That's how I took it. I
out.
literally. Um, that's what I understood it to be. So,
And
um,
they said it dates back as early as the 4th century CE.
okay. That Christmas
That's
tree.
a long time.
Yeah. And a lot of people, a lot of people do put up a tree. I mean, across cultures
Yeah.
too. Lots of people do. And I really think they do it just because it's, the pretty lights and things like that.
And that's
And
what it's saying. It says European pagans were largely responsible for dressing their homes with branches of evergreen fir trees to in order to bring color and light into their dull winters. That was one of the
oh,
reasons why they started doing it,
okay.
going to the forest and bringing it down. So they would just adorn you know, the
Mhm.
just to light up their houses. I can imagine. I mean, no electricity and things like that, and you had to have certain types of fires in order to give light where you lived. So
Right.
that's interesting.
I guess
Hmm.
it would be kind of drab without much color. 'Cause that's one of the
Right.
things I like about all those uh little decorations that you set around the house. All that color that comes in, all the reds and the pretty greens and all of that. And the lights, not to mention the
Yeah.
lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I know. I love to see my and that was because for a while I stopped putting them up, but we put it up now since Jacoby is here and he likes to just stand and look at the lights and
oh yeah.
take the bulbs and grab the bulbs and darn near pull the tree down. So, but if that's what he likes to do, also too about the holidays is just you start having a sense of gratitude about stuff. You know what I'm saying? Being grateful that you're here another year and considering what we've gone through in this year alone and just the experiences that a lot of people are having, like depression and anxiety, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Even myself, I'm feeling a lot of it, you know. And the one thing that's kind of helping me is the fact that I do wake up every day grateful, and I try to get in exercise and try to keep a positive mindset. You try to get into exercise and being what I am as far as a public servant, the fact that you hear all this ugliness all day long, but you're still grateful because, I get not emotional, but I get sad for people because they're going through certain things, and you just look at your life like, wow, always somebody out there that has it worse. So I just try to blow it off. I don't diminish what I'm feeling or diminish what I have a right to feel, you know what I'm saying? But it's always somebody that's gonna have it worse than yourself. So I think that the holidays helps us to reminds us, especially because it's at the end of the year, reminds us that we're still here. We completed a full year again, and we should be grateful that we're still here and that we're alive and we're in a position that we are. You know what I'm saying? Because this has been an ugly year. This is a history I will never forget. Never.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I said, well, God willing that our kids live and then they are able to tell the story about this 2020 and they'll be talking about um,
Yeah.
grandma and granddad and all these other things and how everything stopped. And that's an experience that most of us will probably only have once in a lifetime, thankfully.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then they'll be looking back at our history the way we're doing, looking back at 1918 when they had that Spanish flu epidemic. And it's just something that you never thought you would ever experience ever in your lifetime. And I'm feeling how you're saying too, especially like in retirement. And I try to keep myself busy doing things, and that's fine. But when the weekend comes, I mean, of course, I naturally feel like I want to go out and I want to hang out and be with friends. And especially, I want to go inside the restaurant, have a
Right.
drink, have something to eat, and not take it to go. Um, and we just can't. We can't right now. So that is something that I really am starting to miss. Um,
Yeah. I am too, and it helps. You know, I feel bad for people that don't have people around them, but it helps when you do have family or when you have someone, living with you and stuff. And because
yeah,
I've seen and heard, people are just, some people can't do it, and people are still just living their lives. I think some of it is reckless, but you have the right to live your life the way that you want to, and I try not to pass any judgment on it. But you still have to be very, very careful, because not only should you be worried about COVID, you should be worried about all the other
yeah,
communicable diseases that are out there, and some things that you can catch, and all the predators that are still out there. And you know um
and then something I was talking to my son about earlier today too. Um, just the regular flu is really hell. You know, if you
yeah,
catch the flu
yeah.
and you haven't had it, it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Oh yeah.
So I just that and just common codes that are really annoying. Um, so yeah, it's and I think that while we're wearing masks, they even said that they think that we will have less flu and we'll have less colds because we're covering our faces. So, and I think it's true because for a lot of this year, I did not catch a cold, and if I did feel anything, it was really mild and it went away. And in the years past, I would have caught a couple of colds by now, especially with the weather going up and down. So I think I'm just ready for all of this to be passed, and um, I'm not anxious for 2021 because we don't know what another day will bring. I'm not anxious for any of it, but I am excited about just always possibilities of things that you can do, and you try to make plans, and you make plans, you work a something out to try to reach those goals. And that's definitely what I'm thinking about because I really want to do a lot of things, even with this show. And I was thinking, like in 2021, we're going to do A, B, C, D. And I'm working toward that, but we'll see. That's all you can really
Right.
say.
Right.
That we'll see what happens, and just keep moving forward because that's one of the reasons that I brought on a few people in particular fields, like the one person who's talking about financial stuff, and somebody else will be talking about health stuff, and another person will be talking about hand sanitizers and things like that, organic, and all of those things. I thought, like at the beginning of the year, people are making all types of setting all types of goals and maybe not so much resolutions, but they're resetting their goals and taking a look at some of the things that they would like to do differently. And so that was the plan, and we'll see how that works out.
I'm glad you said that, because you're right. People set these unrealistic resolutions, and actually what you should be setting our goals, but not beating yourself up on it. And I was looking forward to the young lady that was coming today because there was
Mhm.
something in the book that she talked about is, in so many words, don't beat yourself up if you're not accomplishing what you set out to accomplish, but you'll get there because you have to be consistent. And I think that's one of my problems sometimes. Like this year, it was the first time that I experienced ever anxiety. I've never had anxiety before, and I really didn't know what it was. And trying to run an online business, also, working every day, dealing with the pandemic, making sure you stay safe, making sure your family is staying safe, having had things to repair in your home. So when people come in your home, you have to make sure that they have on their mask and things like that. It's been a trying year. So I was experiencing this anxiety, and then I before I looked up, I mean, after I looked up, it had been like a month, and I hadn't worked on my business, and a lot of those
Mhm.
things will keep you from being consistent and focused on what your true goals are. You know what I'm saying? So uh, I was looking forward to hearing what are the things that you should do in order to get back on track and be consistent in your journey of what you need to do as far as your business or even in your own personal life. Us as women and older women, I mean, even in our own personal life, we need to be very consistent when it comes to our own health,
Mhm.
and I think around these holidays, getting back to that, as far as the holidays are concerned, what's going on right now, or having a business, having family, being secluded, not being able to be with your friends and things like that, you know, um, and then, like you said, not being able to be with your family because it's a holiday, it puts a real strain on your life. And then you have to just still maintain that focus and so that you won't lose track of what your real goals are, because at the end of the day, this may be over with, but I don't think it's going to go back to what it was. You know what I'm saying? What it was. So what I'm saying is we have to do things in order to make sure that we stay consistent with what's important. Number one, I think what's important is number one, your health. And that this right here, because a lot of people are losing
Right.
it, you know. And this is how that anxiety and that depression kicks in. Find something, although, like you said, you want to be with your friends on the weekend. Hey, do a Zoom call. We just have to find different avenues, different things to do in order to have that connection so that we won't be feeling these anxieties and this depression and this loneliness and stuff like that, and find something that we can do outside, even though it's a little cool outside. And matter of fact, we've been having amazing weather because I hate cold weather. But a nice brisk walk in a park or the forest preserve, that's free. We can do that. And it tends to take your mind off
Mhm.
of all of that. And I was going to tell you, they shut down the gym at the job because
I've,
people,
I've been
they was trying
seeing that online. I saw where they
yeah,
had caution
yeah,
tape
big
all
old board. Yeah. But the thing was, people started using it more so than they did in the past, because exercise helps that to get that dopamine, and that helps you with that serotonin when you need to go to sleep and things. And exercise will boost all of that and help you keep you from having anxiety. So what I do is I find me a corner at the job for them 30 minutes or 20 minutes and just move or walk those stairs and just move. And I would say to people, because of everything that we're going through, and because of the fact that things that are going on in your life, just I've just learned that don't lose your goal. And like what you're doing with your show, and you're being consistent every Thursday, don't lose what's important to you, because even when all of this is over with, it's going to be something different. We're not going back to the way things were, because we have to live differently right now. But there's still a future. So that job that you're in, or that business that you're creating, or something that you're doing, or the personal goals, you have to still stay with that in order for you to be able to not in order for you to be able to survive or anything like that, but just so that you can continue to go on and not stagnate yourself and when 2021 comes. You have to just deal with it the same way you would if a pandemic wasn't going on. You know what I'm saying?
And I was gonna say too that I I've talked to you about staying motivated and staying focused, and
Right.
it is not easy, even
No.
being in pandemic, out of pandemic, is not. And especially now in it. What's helped me a lot is just signing up for particular workshops or things like that where
Hmm.
like-minded people are, and talking with you and talking with other business women, that helps keep me focused and help me. It kind of keeps feeding that entrepreneur in you, because
Yeah.
if not, I don't know, for me, I kind of start falling away. And if I have too much going on at home, I'm taking care of everybody, I'm doing everything, and I had a list of things that I need to do for the show, but I don't do any of them. That to me, I felt like, okay, how did I do that? How did I manage not to do not one thing off the list for myself? So it's
Right.
hard to keep, on the mark. And you have to, I think you have to take a minute and think about what is it that all these people need and try to put them on some kind of schedule if you can. But as far as your work, do at least one thing every day if you can,
Mhm.
at least one. Because I had started what, a week or two. I wouldn't even. That's bad. A week
Oh
with no
yeah.
work. That's
Yeah. And
real bad.
you fall into a slump, and next thing you know, you look up and be like, oh wait, what am I doing? What, this can't happen. What am I doing? I got to get back. And then next thing you know, you're going into it. That's why I said, as far as anxiety and depression, and you look up and like, I haven't done anything. And now it's almost like it's a chore, because now you have to start all over again. And that's one thing I have to correct myself on. I always say start over again. And I have to start, your words are powerful. And I have to start just saying continue where I left off at, and not start over again, because it makes me feel like it's a chore. Like, here I
Yeah.
am. Now I got to start all over again because I didn't let this fall behind. And what I should be saying is, let me continue where I left off at, and catch up so I can, get this done, you know. And I have to keep reminding myself. That's why I say, when it comes to gratitude, or daily affirmations and things like that. And we have to remember, we are human. We're not robots. Because sometimes I feel like I am. And I'll look up even on my off day, and knowing I need to get some sleep, which is vastly important, it'll be 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh my God, where has the time gone? What
Yeah.
have I done?
Yeah. I feel like that too a lot of times. And just different things that I think should take me 15 minutes and it winds up being an hour. So then, and that gives me anxiety because I'm thinking, well, how am I going to get to all these other things when it took me an hour to do this? Because something unexpected popped up and I have to do it. So, and I had to learn to just cut myself a break. You just have to take the time to do it, because that's why I think a lot of times they talk about the journey. You just have to take the time to do it right, get things right. It'll be fine. You just have to calm down. And a lot of things too, what you were saying, you have to realize that you're a human being, flesh and blood, and if you need to take a break, you need to rest, then do that. but also make a plan to return to your work, and that I had to learn too. If I just did one thing that I had to do for that show, for this show, just even if a couple of phone calls or just post, do some social media for the show, that made me feel good. That made me feel like I'm still doing something. And it really is true. If you let yourself disconnect so much, it's going to be difficult. It's going to become more and more difficult, and you'll start resenting the thing that you started because you had a passion for it, and you'll start feeling like, man, I got to do this, but you don't have to do it. And so I find myself a lot of times going back. Why did I start? What am I, why am I doing this? And then along the way too, you you make you make changes because you need to, and because maybe it works better by making those changes, and that's okay too, because of how it is when you start. You think everything has to be done a certain way, and that's something too. As you go along, you learn there are many ways to do and to get to the goal. And so don't feel guilty because you didn't take what you thought was the perfect route, or do something by this age or by that age. And that's just not true. That's not true. That's not your life. That's not your path. So,
Do you feel like that sometimes, that I'm getting older now? Is it even worth it? Do I want to work this hard? Um, this what I went through earlier this year. Like, I'm getting older. Do I really want to work this hard? I've been working since I was 14 years old, and here still I'm working. But then I have to look at the bigger goal. So do you put I try to put that goal first, because there are certain um how I want my older life to be. So I know I have to work on these things, but then I have the devil's advocate over there, like, well, why? Is it, why are you doing all that? Your life is already okay. Why do you think that you're going to be old and poor and not have anything when you've been doing this all the time? And sometimes I just want to say, I don't want to work hard anymore. But
yeah.
I have to also think too, we work hard at life, period. Especially being a black woman too, we work hard at life, period. But I want those spoils of life. I want those enjoyable moments and things like that. And I think one of my biggest things, now that I am older, I live for experiences now, more so than anything. I would like to experience some things. So I'm beginning to create a list. And that was one of the other things I wanted to ask you. Does it help you to write everything down?
Yes, absolutely. I do write everything down. And especially things that I think about the show and how the show's developed, how it started, and just I want to be able to talk. I want people to hear when I talk about the show. I want them to hear the passion, that I have for it. So I write about it a lot more than I used to, because when you, especially like in the pitches, you're whenever you take these workshops, they tell you that it's going to be your story that stays with people. And at first, I felt that was just getting on my nerves. Like, story, what story? Like, I have to sit down and write a story. But as time passed, I realized there's a lot to talk about, but not so much from uh, like feeling like it's a burden, but just the love of it and the passion of it. So I write a whole lot about that, and a lot of times I just write about how I feel that day, or just like I was saying, the experience of retirement. And a lot of times I think about just what you said. At this age, why am I doing this? Why do I have to do it? I don't even want to work that hard. But I too love the experience of learning how to do what I'm doing, and learning how to do it better. and
Right.
making it into something that I really would love to see it. So I can't just not do it. Like, how do I stop? And then if I stop, what else? I mean, I could go and do a lot of other things, but I've like I'm all in for this. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So what would you tell somebody that like I was just saying, do I really want to continue to work hard, or what would you tell somebody that, you know, just our age mostly, that want to, how should I put it, that have something that they're passionate about, but they just feel that, you know, it's not going to work out because I'm too old, or I really just don't have the time to really put that much energy into this. And what am I trying to say? I'm trying to figure out exactly, because I was kind of feeling this way, and it was something that I read that kind of change my mind, because you know when I be at work and it gets slow, I just be reading all kinds of stuff and I'll be forgetting what I read. So some things I have to just kind of like put in my phone or write down. But I have notes all over everywhere, and I think what I'm gonna have to do is put that on my drive, write it down and put it on my drive, and just kind of bring it into a collection of things, just thoughts in my head that I have. And sometimes I just want to shut down up here because it's just going constantly, you know.
But
But
that's
what would
the
you tell
thing.
somebody your age or our age that want that they have a passion to do, because there's a lot of competition out there, and I at first I wasn't going to do it, you know that. And then when we took that class together, the master class together, I was like, no, I'm going for this, because my, you know, and my goal is to have a stream of income when I retire. I want to do something that I'm passionate about when I'm retiring. I want it to be something that I created, something that I helped to grow. And I don't even have to be a millionaire. That would be nice, but something that will bring me passive, steady income, and something that I can pass down to my children if they decide that this is something that they want to take over and do, you know.
Well, I think you just answered like all of it because you talked about how much you love it and your passion for it. And I think it's hard to think about sometimes to separate what this society tells us about age and what we should be doing at certain times in our lives. So I think is all about you and how have you been living your life. And if these are things that you feel very passionate about and you've gotten to this age, then I say either you do it, go ahead and do it, or just let it go because you're going to beat yourself up for what? Just get up and go ahead and do it because the time is going to pass anyway, whether you do it or not. So that was one of the things that I always brought me into reality is that the time is going to pass. Like even when I wanted to go back to undergraduate school, and I was older, and I was like, oh, it's going to be 4 years, and then I thought, well, 4 years are going to pass anyway. So either you get up and go back to school now, or 4 years from now you'll be saying I should have. So you just have to, make up in your mind what's important for you at this point in your life. And as one thing I did learn about getting older and being through menopause, it brings you emotionally, you will have to face yourself and you will have to decide what it is that makes you feel happy and that brings you, fulfillment because you have all these emotions, all these things, all these things happening to your body that you don't have a lot of control over, but you do have control over how you can proceed with your life. I don't mean to make it sound simple, but if it means that you can make some decisions about how you move forward, then make those decisions because it can really change your life for the better. So I just say go for it or forget about it. Don't torture yourself. It's okay if you decide you can't do it, but definitely go for it.
Yeah, that's what I had to, that's what I had to think about in that time. Raven was on a show from Urban Gym, and she was saying just set aside the, having two small children and working and stuff. You set aside that time and you don't beat yourself up, and that's when consistency comes into play. Okay, you set aside these 2.5 hours. Be consistent. Take those 2.5 hours. If anything else comes up, you have to take those 2.5 hours, especially if it's not life threatening. You have to take those 2.5 hours. But what I made up in my mind and what I said I was reading about yesterday is the fact that stop burning out and decide, okay, I'm gonna take 2 days off. And I did that once before and it actually worked out. So it kept me from burning out. And I just said, okay, I'm gonna shut this down for several days, leave it alone, do nothing, stay in the bed, have my glass of wine, eat my popcorn, and look at whatever movie, then get back to business,
Right.
because I want to burn out. And sometimes I forget about that. That's why I asked you about writing stuff down. I guess I have to write those things down too. It's time for you to take your 1 or 2 days and get back to business,
Yeah.
because it's like you lose yourself and then you get comfortable in something that you really know you should not be getting comfortable in. And then now you're mad at yourself and want to kick yourself because you got too comfortable and you looked up, instead of 2 days, it's 5 or 6. It's a whole week.
Right. That's what
You
I'm
know,
talking about. And it can happen. And then you feel like I cannot believe I let that whole week go. And look at all the work that you didn't do.
right?
But I
Absolutely.
I remember too when I first retired and I started thinking, looking at the work that I needed to do, and that's when I realized all those shows that we were having, I wasn't doing the work that I needed to grow the show to give it some meat and to build it on paper. And I didn't. It just did not hit me until I retired and I saw all this stuff that I needed to do. I needed to
Mhm.
learn about all these different things, and there's no shortcut. You have to do it.
Yeah.
So that's when I
Yeah.
started signing up for those workshops and just talking to all the women in business and a lot of the women helping women in business, all those groups on Facebook. They're like super amazing to just being supportive because that's what we really, really, really need.
And
Um,
you know what? I'm in some of those groups and I do not utilize it. And Sabrina got on me about that too. Like, I put you in this group, I put you in that group. What are you doing? And it's almost like, and before I didn't have a business, I was all on Facebook, but yet I have an online business. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? So you're right. I'm glad you said that about those groups. I have to get back because they are very, very supportive, and I've been in some of them for like 2 years now. I looked up. I was like,
Me
whoa.
too. Me too. And I only just started reaching out because I think for me it was giving well giving myself credit for what I'm doing and the things that I've accomplished. And I always felt like, well, I don't know if I've like done enough work yet. And
Mhm.
that's in the
Right.
too, that you
Do I
have.
deserve to be here? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then it's like, yes, because you may contribute something that somebody else needed to hear. So you always have to realize that you're important too and give yourself credit for the work that you're doing. Like I was telling you, even if you did one thing, you did one thing rather than 5 days of nothing. So that I don't know. I think it's a great I love it. And sometimes I just feel, just as you said, overwhelmed. But I think probably most business people feel like that. I think
Yeah.
at a point, and that's the point where you're saying you need to take a break and you need to You know, we can't go travel right now, but we can take a couple days of downtime.
You know, some of my problem is too. I'm still a mother, although I have grown kids. I wake up doing house chores all day long, and it's to the point where it's what do you call that? Because I even do it at work. I'm cleaning up the bathroom. We have cleaning people. I'm cleaning the kitchen at the job, and I'm like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm everything, and I look up. I have washed dishes 5 6 times a day because people eating put stuff in there, and I was like, wait, I'm spending too much time on home stuff. You know what I'm saying? But one time I allowed it to just pile up, and that was too much of a chore, and I was like, I'll never let that happen again. It took me 2 days to.
To get it
I clean baseboards. Would you hear me? It get dust on it. I'll clean it, and I have to
through,
stop
because
doing
otherwise
that. It
it's
can
gonna look like a
kill
mess.
myself. It can work because it's not like it's filthy, but and I don't like things out of place. I'm constant, and I look up. It's 3 hours, and I'm supposed to be working on my business, or I'm supposed to be working on something else that pertains to it. Or like you said, getting on these workshops, which I'm gonna have to talk to you about, or getting in these groups and being being present and visual, because now that's all we have. Now we can't go physically anywhere to take seminars or workshops and stuff because of COVID. So we have to do it online. And I guess because sitting in a computer all night long at a job, and then you come home and you're in your computer all day. And like I said, you'll look up and you're on that computer 8 hours, and it's time for me to go to work or something, or
Mhm.
clean up all day long. And it's almost like,
It's
where do you find that balance to do
right.
anything? And I actually, you know what, Gail, I actually think there is no balance. We have to pick and choose what's important. We have to just be consistent in all of it.
Yeah,
And I have just learned that there really just is no balance, even in marriage and relationship, because you may give 100% over here for a whole year, or half of the year, and over here you may give 2% or 10%. We have to just pick and choose what's important at that time, get it done, and get it over with. But don't lag behind of the most important things. And that's the thing that you love and that you need to do, because if something you love can potentially earn you some income, I say do it and go for it. And I don't have any
absolutely.
regrets in regards to.
Absolutely. And then to ask yourself, um, do you just want to be, you know, how would you feel just saying forget about it?
Yeah.
Just throw it in, throw the towel in and say, forget it. I'm just gonna just do this, just go to work and come home, and I'm not gonna even pursue anything else. And if you
Hmm.
know that it's not you, then you, no matter how much time passed, you still be thinking about it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Yeah, because I wanted to be a professional dancer, and I started out that, and then I had a child, and that bothered me because I felt I couldn't still do that, and it bothered me for years, and I had no guidance on it because I was young, and when I had my daughter, and I was in my 20s, that's and I just gave up on it. But that was my heart's passion. I studied, I did all of that. You know what I'm saying? And it crushed me for years because I did not complete something that I loved so well. That's why if you see me out somewhere, I'm constantly dancing. That's my passion, music and
oh, that's where that
yeah.
comes from.
Yes,
I did not
ma'am.
know that. That's I
I
think that
studied jazz, ballet, I mean all of that, because that was my goal when I was a little girl. I wanted to be a professional dancer.
wow.
You know,
I think that's beautiful though. I really do.
thank.
Um, but I wanted to say what you were talking about when you get off work and you just left the computer for 8 hours. It is hard to come home and then look at another computer. But what you will have to do, you're gonna have to set a certain amount of time every day, if you can, that 1 hour or two that you could devote to your business. But
Yeah.
try to make it the same time every day. And if you can't, then you still try to find those 2 hours. Because if you don't set some kind of consistency for yourself, you will not do it. It's not you don't want to do it, but it's like you can't accomplish it because you got to set it as your priority. That's what it is. You have to. Because I remember Delisha was saying that what is it, delegate? If you can delegate something, you could do something. And then number two was to delegate, and three was to dump it. So you're right when you said there's some things you just cannot get to. And, if you can have other people help you do things, have them do it. But you have to set
Yeah.
time, like, okay, by this time I'm going to do this. You have to do it because I love mornings. I'll get up and read in the morning. I can read anything, but once it gets to like 9 o'clock, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to work because I feel like, oh, I gotta do some work on the show, and it's like something just hits me. But from like 7 to 9 o'clock, I'll read and I can write things. But I guess that's my clarity, my time for clarity. But after that, then I want to be like trying to reach out and do things with people to get
Well,
them.
a lot of it's going to change in January for me, and I'm going to be consistent. But I'm glad you said about writing stuff down. I write stuff down and then I can't remember where it is and stuff. So, and I learned how to use my journals here, my big old books to
Yeah,
make sure I carry this thing with me to work and stuff. So I have a reference power right here now that I can do, but it's just that everyday life that I need to let go of and prioritize it in a different fashion because it's always something,
yeah,
always something going on. And when you own a home, it's always something that needs to be fixed
right.
too.
So it's not you let go of it, but you gotta prioritize
I
for
get right and I get
you.
distracted.
Right, you
I
gotta
get
do
distracted.
and
I
just
learned too. People say you have to multitask, but Alicia again, she told me she was like, it's okay to multitask, but she said like because we were talking about it at work. I said, yeah, I'll be washing dishes, and next thing you know, I'm in the basement folding clothes and didn't finish washing the dishes. Then I hear the wind, the water running, and I didn't left the water on. I come back up, the refrigerator is open because I was taking something out to try to fix dinner before I go to work, and I'm living with a house full of grown people, except for Jacoby. But and I'm sitting there like she was like, that's multitasking, but it's not multitasking because you're not finishing the task. And
right.
we laughed about it, and I was like, you know what, you're right. Being mothers and stuff, and trying to run businesses and stuff, and working too, I wasn't finishing anything, and I have to
Right.
stop myself if I'm folding clothes. Finish folding the damn clothes, go upstairs, wash the dishes, finish the dishes, and then go do whatever else it is that you had planned to do and get it done. You know what I'm saying? And just get it done. And I have to stop myself. When I say stop myself, literally, sometimes in my walking track, I have to stop myself and just say, stop. Just, I talk to myself a lot, but just say, stop.
Yeah. I
Focus on this and get it
right.
done.
I I realized I was doing the exact same thing that you just said. And I realized that's why I wasn't accomplishing things too. And I made myself when I walk into the kitchen, I'm making the bed, and then I stop and walk in the kitchen, and like you said, turn the water on to make coffee, and go in the other room and do something else, and come back. You left the water running, you left the bed undone, and I make myself stop it. Just do one thing at a time, and I didn't notice it for many for many years. But once I did, I said, man, wonder if I've been like this all this time. And that is definitely an issue you really have to get a hold of. Um, so you're muted.
as women, we do burn ourselves out, and I really think it comes from raising kids, because you got to get all this done. You have a certain time frame, and especially if you work nights, you got to come home, fix breakfast, get them together, take them to school, and you do that for years, from grammar school to high school. No, from the time they're born, because you're doing it, you're taking them to babysitters and this and that, and from grammar school to high school, and you're doing this, and you get in such a routine that you're doing all these tasks and you wonder why you're burnt out, because in between that time while they're at school and stuff, you're trying to sleep as well, and you're getting this broken sleep, 2 hours here, 3 hours here, this and that. And I said I did not want that for me running a business, and I find myself doing that, and it's not necessary right now. It's not necessary because they're grown, and I have to just stop and say, okay, those dishes can wait for a little bit, or that bathroom that needs to be cleaned can wait. Since I'm up at night anyway, because I'm a night person and I don't have to work, get it done then. You know what I'm saying? Get it done then, and be attentive to your business. Be attentive to what's important. That's going to bring that residual income into your household so that you can be successful and let go of the job and make that transition. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the whole goal for me. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's for other people, but that's the whole goal for myself.
Right.
You
And
know.
once you prioritize things, you enjoy working on the project so much more,
Yeah.
so much more, because you took away all the distract. Well, not all, but you take away a lot of the distractions. Well, I think most importantly, you would have made yourself a priority, and that always makes you feel differently, and always makes you, feel so much better about what you're doing for yourself. So, okay.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Because sometimes when I do uh, things for myself, well, I can't say that. I'm at a point now. If I want to get my nails done, my feet done, I make that a priority. Make the Because in the past I wouldn't even think about it. Like, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do that. Now it's like, no, I'm going to do that because I got to do something for myself to keep me going and happy and stress free. You got to just kind of digress a little bit.
Ask you something too, because I had this feeling. Do you feel like you're doing all those other things to avoid something as far as dealing with your business? Is there something that you're kind of apprehensive about as far as the business, and that's why you find yourself busy doing all these other things instead of saying, I'm gonna go and do this right now? Is there something there?
Yeah, it is. Success, success, being successful. And remember, we went over that in class with Vince. A lot of people, they shy away from being successful. I get it in my head that, what if I am successful? Am I going to be able to handle it? What if I'm not successful? What then? What if this doesn't work out? You know what I'm saying? And you defeat yourself from the beginning. And I fight with that all the time in my head and in my spirit sometimes. So I have to just stop and meditate. And like I said, that's why I work out consistently too. I'll try to get a workout in some kind of way, somewhere. I don't care who sees me. I try to get it in because it helps to calm me down and take care of all of that doubt, you know. And it's not, and when you have doubts, you start having fear. So yeah, it does. It's an avoidance that I get sometimes,
Right.
whereas I can't. And it goes back to childhood, you know. But when I know that it's certain things, like when I bought my house, I made up in my mind one day, I was like, I'm gonna buy a house. I'm just gonna buy one, and I just went for it. And you have those small victories like that, and a lot of times I have to remember, how did I do that? Why did I do it? I was not going to let anybody stop me, and I stayed focused. And I have to remember that you've done this before. Just repeat the process. Go back to and remember how you felt and why you did it. Because I think when we have a strong enough goal as to why we're doing things, the reason why we're doing these businesses, the reason why we're doing certain things, that's because it's a bigger outcome that's involved in that, you know. And I have an autistic grandson. I need to be able to help to kind of secure his future because he's not going to be here, and I want to secure my future. Like I said, I don't want to be old and poor. This country is not forgiving to children and poor and older people, you know. So
Yeah.
you have to create something for yourself, and shame on you that you live your whole life and you don't do that, because it's not your children's responsibility to take care of you. And some people feel it is. It's not.
Um,
And I don't want to be in a nursing home. I
right.
don't want to do that. And I want to be able to take care of myself and enjoy some things in life, even if I'm in my 60s, 70s, or my 80s. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree. And yeah, that I brought that up because I was thinking about it. Like some of the reasons I didn't get to do, or I kept putting off working, sitting down working on, and the fear of it was, as you said, becoming successful. And I think that might be something that we suffer from as a group of people, um, a lot. And we really have to overcome that
Yeah.
because we have so much to offer,
Yeah.
and we definitely that cannot be the reason that we didn't do something.
Right, and it's a mindset, and we look at it, and when people are when African Americans are successful, we think it's an anomaly, you know, that, oh wow, this person really made it, and they came from humble beginnings, or or no, somebody must have helped them out, or this and that, and it's not always necessarily so. I mean, you have to look at the little, you have to look at some of the, I wouldn't say little, or some of the victories that you've done in your lifetime, like I said, and remember how you did it. So, and apply it to what you're doing now. And even myself, I fight with that all the time. Like, you can do this, you can do this, because you have to be your biggest fan. And I'm learning that. And there's nothing selfish about that. You have to be your biggest fan.
Absolutely,
So
yeah, I agree.
and I'm learning that I have enough power in me, enough goal in me. And there might be things I don't understand, but like you said, that sisterhood and reaching out to different groups and people, you can't be shy about it. And that's been, and because I was such an introvert, and you and I talked about
I
that,
am too.
it sometimes resurfaces,
Oh
and
yeah.
I know you don't believe, but it sometimes resurfaces. My palms sweat and everything when I want to talk to people about certain things, because but I have to remember they have something I need. And I'm always giving information, and I enjoy when people come and ask me stuff, because if I know what it is, and I have to remember they might feel the same way, Marcella. Just
And I'm
ask.
coming to,
You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Just
yeah. You have to ask. And I had to learn to appreciate that you have a lot to share too. So just share and stop feeling like, oh no, no, that might not be, a good thing to say or a good question. And it's like, just relax, just be yourself. We're all just people, you know. So we have more in
remember in college, did you have to take a speaking class? I took one purposely because I was such an introvert, and my palms would sweat, my nose would start running because I was so afraid. And I had to remember that, like, that's not you anymore. You have to overcome those things, and have to realize that you have something to say, you know. And I would say that to anybody out there who's struggling with that. You have something to say, but just know some of the most successful people, they struggle with something that apprehension that they feel, even in their business, but they still become successful. You know what I'm saying? So it
right.
can happen. And I have to remember that it can happen. There's nothing wrong with success. Just know a lot of work does come with it. but it's probably enjoyable work, and I'm willing to find out. I am. I'm willing to
Right.
find out.
That's the thing. So you're there already. You're there. You can't turn back. You just got to come on through. Because I mean, if I can push myself out there, you can too. I definitely had to.
Oh, hey, when I found out you was in broadcasting school, I was like, wonderful. I was really happy for you. I was like, oh, shy girl. I was just like, what?
And
And I was happy.
and one thing about shyness is people who aren't shy don't know that is such a hurdle to push to get over, and it's such a wall to push through. And because some people tell me, "Oh, you're not shy," but I don't know. Am I, or is it just introvert? But for all my life, I felt that I was shy, and it's just I had to learn too. Okay, you're okay. Shyness, that's just a part of your personality. So stop feeling that. I used to feel like, oh, it's so bad. I shouldn't be shy. I can't. But you can't be anyone else. If that's a part of who you are, then that's what you have to learn to live with, and you have to learn to overcome it in order to get to the things you want to get to. So that's what I had to do.
Yeah. And them old folks will tell you, a closed mouth don't get you fed.
That's true.
It just doesn't, you know.
And the funny thing, when I was a little kid, I was like the most outspoken, the most radical all the time, always standing up for the little guy. And
Really?
yes, even still, I would still do it. I'm quiet, but if I always believed in justice. I always believed in being fair. And if I thought it wasn't, that the situation wasn't being fair, then I was going to stand up, even if I had to get a whooping. I still stood up and said what I had to say and took my whooping. So that part of me is still in there. Um, yeah. So
Wow. Wow. Well, we've come a long way, and hey, I'm looking forward to a whole different journey. A whole different journey.
yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see, because we're all working on so many different things, and the wonderful thing about it is you never know what it could become. So you just have to keep working.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. But in this COVID, I am really, really so proud of people and of us, especially because we're opening these businesses. We're going for it. I'm seeing them pop up everywhere. My cousin owned the seasoning, just in time. Just, I'm just loving that people are just saying, the heck with this. Let me just go for it. You know what I'm saying?
We
Let me.
have to get it. We have to get her on.
I
Uh,
sure will.
yeah,
I definitely will.
did see that online, and I was thinking, man, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give her the information so that she can put it on.
Okay. Okay, so we talked a whole long time today, boy. Just about 2 hours. But we had great conversation, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people could relate to what we were talking about. So that's how I always feel about this show. We definitely talk about things of relevance. So all right. Thank you guys for watching Shy Panther and Friends, and we'll be back next Thursday, hopefully. And I don't know who we'll have on the show. At the time, we had plans, but it looks like that's changing. But in any case, we'll be here. The panel will be here, and we'll be having something great to talk about. All righty. So I want to thank you again, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and if you want to donate to the show, you can do that at paypal.me/Shy Panther. And take care of yourselves and your neighbor. And God bless. Okay. All right, MJ.
Absolutely.